Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today of course we're checking out some more AmITheButtHole. And if you love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, that subscribe and maybe that notification bell too. As I always say, it hugely helps out this channel and I can never express how much of a difference you really do make by doing those things. So thank you so much for your love, your support and your time, and let's crack on with today's first story. Now, our first story comes from HonestCake842, who asks, am I the arsehole for making an uncomfortable joke when my friend told me her dinner table was full with family? Over the last 20 years, everyone in my close family has died. Both my parents are gone, my grandparents on both sides, all my dad's uncles, and anyone who's still alive are scattered among the country. All I, 20 female, have left is my siblings and my brother-in-law. My friend, 23 female, comes from a different family. All the uncles, aunts, cousins, grandparents have monthly parties, stay in touch, have big celebrations, the works. All of them are still alive and active. I think she knows I'm sensitive to the topic, as I wish I had a big family. As she sometimes makes these comments like, you know when you get married your guest list will be so small compared to mine. But hey, at least it will be cheap. At my mum's funeral, there will be a lot of open chairs and she told me if this was a family member of hers, all the seats would be full. She is aware of my many deceased family members. I took some pictures of me, my siblings and my brother-in-law cooking for Thanksgiving and us playing games at the dinner table and post them on social media. She texted me privately saying we looked like we were having fun, followed by pics of her huge family and remarked that the dinner table was full of family. This is where I may be the arsehole. I replied, lovely, have fun, we'd have a full table too, but with the snow, it was too hard to dig everyone out of their graves. She was silent for a few hours, then replied that joke was morbid and made her uncomfortable, and I really need to check my attitude. Am I the arsehole? Now this one is a pretty relatable one to me, and I'll explain in a moment, but it's a not the arsehole from me. And especially the way she's acting towards you and talking about like her big family and saying, oh, it's a full table full of family sort of thing, and not taking your feelings into consideration from what you've been through. But I went through a similar experience. Some of you guys may know of what's been going on the last couple of years, last about 4 years, the amount of relatives that have suddenly gone, you know, my mum, dad, uncle, aunt, another aunt just recently, last week actually. And I've been pretty pragmatic about it, and as we always say, you know, people deal with death and grief in different ways and all this kind of thing. And I remember when I used to work at my previous company and I was talking to the boss all the time saying, oh, I need some time off for my mum initially, and I had a couple of weeks off because my mum passed away. And then we found out about my dad's cancer and I was having time off throughout the year because of that, like taking him to hospital with appointments, loads of different stuff going on. But I remember feeling really bad about it, you know, taking so much time off and feeling like I was letting the company down. I know I shouldn't have, but I did. And I went up to my boss and said, oh, I'm really sorry about this, but I'm going to need some more time off because of when my dad passed away. And he was like, oh, no, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. And I can't remember exactly what he said. And it wasn't insensitive or anything like that because they were amazing bosses. But I remember just joking back with him and saying, oh, don't worry. I'm going to run out of relatives soon anyway, so I ain't going to need any more time off. And, you know, it was, yeah, a pretty insensitive joke. But it popped into my head at the time and I grinned and he was sort of like, whoa, like for real. So it was probably an arsehole-ish move to put him on the spot like that, and an insensitive thing to say about family members, of course, but it's the way our family has dealt with all of this, and I think if we tried to deal with it any other way, we'd have crumbled a long time ago. But not the arsehole from me. Living Bean says, not the arsehole. It's your family, so you get to make jokes about it. If it makes her uncomfortable, it's her problem. I'd be uncomfortable with her saying how big her family is. Take care, OP, and sorry for your losses. Spare Article 396 says, your friend sounds like an arsehole playing the game of I have more fam than you, which is fucking weird and very insensitive. Not the arsehole, your joke made her uncomfortable because you called her out on her bullshit. White Staunton says, not the arsehole, you could reply that you are surprised she is uncomfortable with your morbid joke because since she keeps bringing it up and going on about how small your family is, knowing well that your reason for that is that they are all dead, if it is okay for her to keep referencing your deceased relatives and her live ones, then surely it's okay for you to have a sense of humor about it. Follow up with, actually, I'm glad this has come up because, in fact, it upsets me when you keep pointing out how small my family is. Because they are all dead, and the black humor this time was a coping mechanism. How about you stop going on about it, then I won't need to make dark jokes as a defense. Pennsatucky says, not the arsehole. As someone who has a very little living family left, I may have to borrow your joke. Inadvertent or not, it is hilarious. Your friend is a tad bit out of touch with your feelings, and I have a feeling that is not by accident. She's boasting in a passive manner, and I would definitely call her on it. Don't allow her to pin her inconsiderate behavior on you. If she was uncomfortable with the joke, then good. Now she knows what you feel like when she's cracking her big family jokes and claiming that it comes from a place of innocence. Liz says, there's no way a joke that mild made her uncomfortable. She's upset you called her out for her poor attitude and is trying to make you the bad guy, not the arsehole. And one more from Claire Swin, who says, I think your comment was fucking brilliant and consider you a bit of a legend. Your way is so much more effective than trying to catch her at being thoughtless or suggest she is being passive aggressive. How sad her only womanship opportunity is not dead over here, not the arsehole. Now, what do you guys make of this one? Would that joke make you feel uncomfortable? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from Chocolate Cake Addict, who says, am I the arsehole for eating the chocolate cake after I agreed not to? I'm 6 months pregnant and all I want to do is eat chocolate cake 24/7. It would be fine if it didn't make me violently throw up every single time I ate it. 2 weeks ago, my husband told me that he wouldn't buy me the cake anymore and he asked me not to eat it anymore. I reluctantly agreed. I'm not exaggerating when I say not eating it was one of the hardest things I have ever tried. My in-laws came over a few days ago and they brought me a chocolate cake. I explained why I couldn't eat it, but they left the cake with me when they left, and my mother-in-law told me if I wanted to eat it, I should, and that my husband shouldn't have asked me not to eat it when he doesn't understand how awful pregnancy cravings can get. In the end, I ate half of the cake and was throwing up when my husband came home. He knew immediately I had eaten the cake, and once I was feeling better, he told me I should have listened to him and that I broke our agreement. He was so upset, he even called his parents and told them not to bring cake to our house again and cancel all of his business trips for the duration of my pregnancy, and is now working from home every day because he thinks I'll eat more cake. Am I the arsehole? Now, I've heard, pregnancy cravings can be incredibly hard. So I'm not trying to play this down in any way, but I do wonder, eating this cake and then knowing you're going to throw up immediately after, and I don't know here, couldn't that be dangerous to the baby in some sort of way? As I said, I don't know, I'm just throwing the information out there because I'd love to know. But Spotsy27 says, not sure who's the arsehole. But instead of fighting over who's the arsehole, maybe go to the doctor and figure out why cake makes you so violently ill. Cheshire Cat says, you're the arsehole and your in-laws are arseholes. I just gave birth this summer. I know how cravings are, but you're throwing up from it. Stop acting like a toddler. This can have bad effects on the baby. Fake Mona Lisa says, you're the arsehole. Have some self-control. Eating half an entire cake knowing you're just going to puke it up sounds like the rationale of a bulimic. But tee-hee, you're pregnant so it's okay, right? Excessive puking fucks up your electrolytes. Why would you willingly put yourself in a position to do that? Beginning Link says, you're the arsehole. I know how pregnancy cravings are, but throwing up every day is bad for the baby. You need to think about that and get some control. AC Bimo says, you're the arsehole. I don't think the cake is the problem, but you eating half a fucking cake. Everyone would be on the verge of throwing up if they ate half a chocolate cake. Now, what do you guys make of this one? I'd love to know that additional bit of information if you have any experience with that. Let me know your thoughts and what was your pregnancy craving? And for the people that's been pregnant or currently pregnant, what's your pregnancy craving? Let me know. I've heard some weird ones in the past. Let me know in the comments below and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from Prefer to Post This Anon, who says, am I the arsehole for telling my SO she's never worked hard? Okay, so this might be a bit of a read. A little backstory. I, 24 male, met my SO, 23 female, 3 years ago. I never wanted kids, so we always used protection, but I guess shit happens and she ended up giving birth 6 months ago. I told her when she got pregnant that I wouldn't be waking up to do anything with the baby at night because I work. If I had to tune into waking up every time he cried, I'd never get any sleep. so she's been good with being the one waking up at night. Recently I got laid off for the winter, and now that I'm home she's acting like I should be waking up at night to help her. I don't think that's fair because I'll end up with the same problem as I stated above, waking up when he cries. When I go back to work I can't really afford to lose sleep. Now to the incident at hand. A few nights ago my son was being particularly fussy at night. I ended up waking up while she was getting his chair. I guess it seemed he'd be up a while. She put him in the bed when she got up, so I scooted closer and cuddled him a bit. Almost looked like he might fall asleep. A few minutes go by and he starts fussing like crazy. I look around the room and girlfriend is nowhere to be seen. Now I'll admit I did get angry. I was tired and it pissed me off that she just left like that. Sometimes when I get overly frustrated I lash out at myself. This is where I think I might be an arsehole. I hit myself in the face a few times and said something I probably shouldn't have. Girlfriend came storming back upstairs with a baby monitor in her hand, saying she heard and saw the whole thing, and I was unbelievable. I spat at her that she wouldn't know what it's like to need sleep when you work because she's never worked a hard day in her life. She's never worked as hard as I do my current job, but we did work 2 other places together before she got pregnant. But she hasn't worked in a little over a year, so I think what I said was warranted. Anyway, she said she's not even sure if she wants to be with me anymore and has been giving me the silent treatment for 3 days, even though I said I was sorry. Am I the arsehole here? Holy shit. You know, I read the first 2 paragraphs there and I was like, oh yeah, you're definitely going to be the arsehole. And then I got to the 3rd paragraph and it said now to the incident at hand. I thought, what the hell? This is going to get worse. You said you never wanted kids and used protection, but shit happens. But then you treat it like, you know, the baby's just hers and it's not yours at all. You have no responsibility for the poor baby. Holy moly. And again, I know people throw around leaving people a lot on this subreddit, but it's one of those times if I was this person's partner, I definitely wouldn't want to be with them with that kind of attitude. Absolutely not. From that first line on the 2nd paragraph, I told her when she got pregnant that I wouldn't be waking up to do anything with a baby at night because I work. I'd be like, fuck that, I'm out. And I'm pretty sure I know where the comments are going to go with this, but we'll read some anyway from M Trippy, who says, so, she doesn't know what it's like to work hard, even though she just gave birth and has cared for a baby every night single-handedly. And you, the hard-working one, haven't helped her because you need your solid, unbroken 8 hours of sleep so you can go work the next day, 7 days a week apparently. And now that you're laid off, you still can't help at night because you'll eventually be going back to work again someday. You're the arsehole. Kenish says, you're the arsehole. I really hope this is fake because Jesus Christ, you're probably the biggest arsehole I've seen. First, most parents work and then also take care of kids. You aren't a special snowflake who needs sleep. Take care of your baby when he cries. Second, you're laid off, you're not working anymore, and you're still refusing to help. Like, wow, how dare your wife have the audacity to think that her husband should be helping with a newborn child? God, what an awful woman. Am I right, guys? Sarcasm. Thirdly, God, you have anger issues. You're hitting yourself and swearing in front of your newborn because you have to take care of him. I really hope this is just outrage bait or outrage porn. Finally, I hope she divorces you. As far as I can tell, she's already raising a fatherless child, but at least she might be able to get a stepfather in the mix in the future. Also, saying sorry for not taking care of your child for 6 months doesn't cut it. Dancing Chinese Kid says, you're the arsehole. She carried and delivered a baby and gets up with it every night. Not entirely sure what your job is, but I'm pretty sure you have no right to say dumb shit like that. End quotes. Recently I got laid off for the winter, and now I'm home she's acting like I should be waking up at night to help her. And says, lol, you're pretending like you have a work schedule and don't take care of your own kid. Do you pretend to put on a suit and tie and drive to an office? Kate and Joe says, hard, you're the arsehole. She fucking works 24/7 taking care of your gosh darn kid. You're going to treat her like this, really? Doesn't matter you don't want kids because you have one. Doesn't matter that you don't want to wake up because you don't have to work in the morning. Hope you realize how abusive you are because that's what this is. You're abusing her. Gaslighting, emotional abuse, and neglect to your kid. Tibbletabs1114 says, you're the arsehole. If you really don't want kids, you go get snipped. And it's not just her baby. Take care of your kid and quit acting like one. All parents are tired the first year plus. And one more because there's a reply from OP on this one from No Violinist, who says, you're the arsehole and you need therapy and possibly a psychiatric evaluation because slapping yourself in the face when you get inconvenienced and frustrated isn't normal. And what exactly did you say? I'm not going to say that you ever hit your girlfriend or your baby, because this is the only information we have right now about this situation. Just think about getting help. Read through some of the comments and you say that you aren't good at baby stuff. You guys should have had this talk before she got pregnant, and when you realize she was, you should have learned. You're a parent, so start acting like it. It is not 100% on your SO to provide childcare no matter how much you work, or don't work now because you're currently sitting at home. To which OP replied saying, "We didn't plan the pregnancy, it just happened. She was on birth control when it happened. I get that she does a lot, but I help too. I pick him up and play with him, and I change diapers and feed him lunch and stuff like that. She's just better at the baby stuff than I am." She agreed that she would be the main caregiver because I work long hours, but everyone here is saying I'm not doing enough. It's kind of jarring reading like 100 comments all saying I'm a lazy piece of shit. I didn't think I was, considering I'm the only one who keeps us all roofed and fed, including my son. I don't know, I just didn't think it would be a 100% resounding "you're the arsehole." Now, what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from Thanksgiving4433, who asks, "Am I the arsehole for going to my parents' house and leaving my fiancée at home after she said she wanted to bring her own food for Thanksgiving? Me and my fiancée, both 20s, have been together for 3 years and had a long distance relationship. This is supposedly her first Thanksgiving with my family. My mum invited us to attend Thanksgiving dinner, and when I told my fiancée about the invitation, she asked about what was prepared for dinner, and I said the traditional dishes every home prepares, and she made a face and said she'll accept the invitation and go, but will bring her own cooked food with her. I was shocked and asked why, because as far as I know she's not allergic or vegan, and she hasn't even tried my mum's cooking. She said this is just her choice and wanted to eat something else to add new flavour for Thanksgiving, since she was always forced to eat the same old traditional meals every year by her family. I was mad and told her it'd be disrespectful of her as a first time guest at our family's Thanksgiving, but she said it was better than telling my mum to cook other dishes specifically for her. I told her no, she cannot bring food with her, and if she insists then she needs to stay home and not come with me, because I'm not about to let her offend my mum's cooking. She got all dramatic, almost crying, saying I was being controlling and that I should just let her come and bring her own food instead of overreacting like that. I stood my ground and she kept saying she wanted to bring food and that she wasn't willing to go hungry to please my mum. I had it at this point and got ready to go over to my parents, who lives hours away. I got in the car with my stuff and left her behind crying, then started calling me saying I should not have went and left her alone at home, and that I was wrong for making this my hill to die and causing her to miss my mum's invite. I'm at my parents right now. I made up some excuse as to why my fiancée didn't come, but I'm still bothered by what happened, especially when she keeps guilting me for leaving her behind, calling me a selfish jerk and whatnot. ETA, oh yeah, she was actually planning on bringing an entire cooked meal, so I wasn't just talking about some side dishes to share with the family. That would have been a different story. And that was my only thought, and it was cleared up with the ETA straight away there. You know, if you was bringing some side dishes, I think that'd be a really nice thing to do in some ways. And listening to in the comments what you guys were all cooking yesterday, I was absolutely drooling. And again, I think it would have been fine if she had allergies or, you know, or something along those lines, and she was cooking for herself to do your mum a favour, but it just sounded very selfish, me in this post. And I don't know why someone would think that way or think that's an acceptable thing to do. I could never imagine going to someone's house, you know, and thinking, oh, I'm going to take my own dinner and not think about what that family would be thinking at the same time. It would be frowned upon unless there was a decent reason for it, right? So absolutely not the arsehole in this one. And I do wonder if there is a little more to this somewhere along the line, but PBC85 says not the arsehole. It would have been perfectly acceptable, gracious even, for her to bring a side dish or two, as long as you cleared that with your mum ahead of time. But to pre-cook and bring her a whole meal and not eat your mother's food at the table is rude. There's something more going on here than she is sharing with you. Greek American Dom says not the arsehole, but don't expect that you'll save this relationship. What the fuck is your fiancé thinking? She has no dietary restrictions, but feels that she needs to impose her vision on a meal she is invited to. This feels like a power play. This feels like she's trying to force you to choose her over your family. Nope, right the fuck out of that. You passed the test, by the way. She is the one who failed you. She is the selfish one. I.e., there is some serious DAVO stuff here. And we've had this DAVO thing come up a couple of times, which stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. And BBMC Beadle says, not the arsehole. This isn't her last meal on Earth, or the only food she'll be able to eat for the rest of her life. This is one meal that someone is generously making to share with loved ones. If you're not a huge fan, you eat a minimal amount, then have a big dessert. Stop at Burger King on the way home. Jam and a peanut butter and jelly in your coat pocket to eat in the car. Is that right? Peanut butter and jelly in your pocket? That sort of stuff in your pocket don't sound right to me. Igloo in my yard says, not the arsehole. Wanting to bring a side dish or dessert would have been great. Bringing an entirely separate meal for yourself when you don't have allergies is straight up rude. When it comes to family meals, the point is family. The point is not the best meal of your life. Do you want to know how many frozen pizzas I've eaten on Thanksgiving night after a mediocre meal at a family member's house? Now that pizza is part of the tradition. And one more from Pensatucky 2017 who says, not the arsehole. Hi, woman here. Speaking from my perspective and experience, I have never in my life heard of someone doing this. Is she not still wanting to impress her Bell's parents? Don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Or has slipped into a complacent I don't give a fuck attitude. It seems that she isn't one bit concerned that in order to save face, you have to lie to your parents. What will you have to lie about next time to keep her looking decent to your parents when she isn't willing to put in even a minimal amount of work to spend the first Thanksgiving with your family? What she was going to do is rude. You may want to consider whether you want to keep lying for this fiancé who has never spent a holiday with your parents, and when asked to do so, passed on the opportunity because she couldn't bring her own food to a family Thanksgiving dinner. Now, what do you guys make of this one? As I said earlier, when you guys were talking about what you're cooking for Thanksgiving, I was like, oh, I wish I was at those tables. A lot of people talking about pumpkin pie, and I have a relative from the US who cooked me pumpkin pie a few years back, and when I tried it, at first I'd be like, pumpkin pie? That sounds nasty, but I tried it and it was just absolutely amazing. So whenever I get the chance of that, I'm straight on it. But I've gone off on one. What do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from Beginning Limit 9111, who says, am I the arsehole for telling my wife it would be controlling and inappropriate for her to try and change how my family does Christmas? My wife and I rotate who we spend Christmas with, so 1 year her family and 1 year my family. I don't love doing it with her family, and she isn't a big fan of my mother. Please don't tell us to do it as a nuclear family. We both hate that idea. Our families are pretty different. Her family is much more about the kids. Even the dinner is tailored more to what kids like. Bland in my opinion, but I would never say that. The kids each get 1,000 gifts and spend Christmas running around my mother-in-law's house making a huge ruckus. Christmas with my family is amazing food, though we usually have to pack our toddler her own meal, a more relaxed atmosphere, and my mum doesn't get any of her grandkids gifts. I don't know her exact reasoning. She says that only the nuclear family should buy gifts, though she does get me and my 2 sisters something, but gives it to us about a week in advance. My kids don't know that she does that. My mum encourages the kids to play in another room so the adults can talk, but me and my wife put our foot down because these kids are just too young. To be clear, we exchange gifts at home before going. My wife just finds it really weird that no one in the family buys for other people's kids. It has nothing to do with my mum being frugal or anti-materialism. My mum and stepdad go all out for each other. Anyway, it is our year to do Christmas with my side, and my wife came to me and proposed suggesting to the family that we only buy for kids and make Christmas more kid-friendly. I told her she really has no right to tell my mum how to spend her money, and that would not go over with my very child-free sister. Other sister has kids as well. She said she feels that Christmas is supposed to be this magical time for kids, and my mum and stepdad and child-free sister and brother-in-law have their anniversaries, birthdays and Valentines to spoil each other. She said that she just really hates how much Christmas is about the adults in my family, and it makes her sad. I said her points are totally valid, but it would be controlling and inappropriate to try and change how my family has always done things, and she would definitely offend my mum. She said I'm putting my mum's feelings ahead of hers, and she just wants to bring it up, and she doesn't like that I use the word controlling. On this one, we're going to start with Danby, who says, I'm definitely a bigger fan of your wife's idea of how Christmas should be spent than your family's. But house traditions are house traditions. It just sounds boring as hell for those kids, and they'll always be comparing the fun side of the family to the boring old side. But they aren't being mistreated or anything. Not the arsehole for doing those things different, though I'm not inclined to call your wife an arsehole for making the suggestion. If she made it a demand, then she'd be an arsehole. Megas26 says, soft, everyone sucks here except your wife. Not centering Christmas 100% around the children is one thing, but your family sounds like it doesn't include the children at all. Send them to another room, no presents, and they don't even get a single special holiday meal. How hard is it to make mac and cheese dish, put an orange, some chocolate, and a book in a stocking, and set up a game, arts and crafts activity, or a movie for the kids? Honestly, if I was your wife, I wouldn't bother going to your family's Christmas. Your wife and child are part of your family too, and if they aren't included in the celebration, then Christmas and family don't sound like they go together in your family. Your family does things a certain way, your wife doesn't like it and suggested a change, which is reasonable. She's part of the family too. You aren't an arsehole for telling her. It won't go over well, and your family doesn't have to change, but making her feel bad about a reasonable request is an arsehole move. Please25 says, I think now you have children there is nothing wrong with suggesting some minor changes to Christmas. Traditions change as families change. I think there will come a point where one of the children tells grandma how boring her Christmas is, and that will not be fun. Everyone sucks here. OP replied to that one saying, she has been told that she is boring. I was pretty mortified. She didn't seem to care. We had a talk with my daughter about how it is okay to think those things, but sometimes saying something hurts someone's feelings. Raff says, you're the arsehole for your choice of language, yes. I'm sure you're right that it may not go down well, but I don't think your wife is in any way unreasonable to want to make sure the kids actually feel welcome at the family Christmas, or for seeking to further the changes you've actually already made to improve things there. But on that note, why the hell are you dragging your children to Christmas with people who don't like them very much? Who aren't interested in making sure that they have food they enjoy or presents to play with, and who expect to exclude them from family time? What kind of Christmas is that? What do they get out of doing that every other year? Ben12 says, you're the arsehole, you have kids now, traditions change. You want them to spend Christmas banished to a separate room. No food they want to eat and no presents from family. Your mother seems to want nothing to do with her grandchildren, only her children. I would not subject my kids to that. And one more from a worried economist who says, you're the arsehole, I am seriously shocked by the not the arsehole comments. Your mother makes the children stay in a separate room on a family festival. Really? Edit. Okay, to people saying children don't want to be with adults anyway and will be happier with their cousins. But how do you justify no gifts for children? No good catering to their needs? Please read OP's comments too. Now, what do you guys make of this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you like your Christmas? What's your Christmas traditions? I would love to hear those as well. A huge thank you for spending your time with me today and getting involved in the channel. On your screen right now, there is a playlist full of Am I the Arsehole stories, relationship stories, and there's further playlists on the homepage as well if you want to get involved in those. Hugely helps out the channel going through them, and thank you for your time once again. I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon.